There we go. So for those who didn't catch that, Rebecca is a leadership coach for successful professional women who want to unlock what they really want and leaving behind the expectations of others who want to deepen their conscious leadership. And Rebecca is going to be talking about leading with certainty in uncertain times. So let's give Rebecca a virtual round of applause. Yay!
Thank you so much, Elliot. And you've made me co-host, and now I've lost my ability to record this on my device. So I might just have to ask you to Dropbox me this, if that's okay.
Not a problem. We're recording it anyway. So it's all good. You go, girl.
I'll also start my timer, because anyone that knows me knows that I like to talk. So I'm also going to keep, I know that you take care of that, but I also want to do that as well. So I think everyone's been talking about it, and it will definitely be a theme of today, that it goes without saying that we're living through a period of uncertainty. But certainty, regardless of the period that we're going through, is at some level part and parcel of leadership. And the problem...
What would you like for breakfast? And also, there's no Milo, so I can make you a milky coffee.
With can I put my order in for breakfast too? I don't know who was not on mute there. So the problem with not dealing with uncertainty effectively leads to job dissatisfaction, increased stress levels, anxiety, and actually perversely it breeds yet more uncertainty, and then that cycle continues. And sort of looking at some sort of statistics, over 800,000 workers record themselves as suffering from work-related stress, depression, and anxiety, with an estimated 17.9 million working days lost to this. So what can you do as a leader to bring certainty to uncertain times? And I'll be sharing with you some of my experiences as a civil servant, where I was drafted on and retained to actually lead a team on a COVID-19 response. But before then, as Elliot introduced me, so I'm Rebecca Warner and I'm an executive leadership coach. But before then, I started life out as a lawyer. Now, please, that is not your cue to leave. Bear with me. I did spend a number of years in a top legal 500 firm before then working in-house for one of the UK's top leading education groups. And throughout my period at my career, I've always found myself sort of relishing, I suppose, as a crisis response, or finding myself at the cliff edge of uncertainty. And when I worked for the civil service, I was actually recruited to set up an implementation team, which included a strategy and PMO function, and also a national assurance team responsible for over £40 billion of public funds within a high achieving, fast paced joint departmental unit. At the beginning of this year, as I mentioned, I was retained to deliver a COVID-19 response for the unit, where I established and led a team through this uncertain time. The approach I developed, not only in leading the team, but engaging with stakeholders through this time of uncertainty, is actually becoming best practice for the whole of the civil service. And I'll share some of my nuggets with you. So you're going to get this hot off the press before even release to the whole civil service. So I have then coached and mentored hundreds of individuals to elevate their performance and become more effective leaders, better communicators, and also to guide teams to build greater connection and improve working culture, increasing productivity and well-being. And this has led me to formalize my knowledge by creating the 3C method. And the 3C method consists of building deep, lasting confidence, gaining laser sharp clarity, mastering communication to really unlock you and your leadership and take you to the next level. When working with teams, I also review the team dynamics and what could be called the 4C culture. And this helps set the environment to increase productivity and well-being, as I've mentioned. But I didn't start my career so passionately about leadership. And if I'm honest, I was very naive as to what to expect. Whilst there were elements of good leadership, it took until I was 32 years old before I was introduced to strong, supportive leadership. And the preceding years they were really marked by stress and burnout, which culminated in me wanting to leave private practice as a lawyer. My face did not fit, and there was no room for anything but carbon copies. And I could see that the continual focus on the outcome and not the process of the means by which the outcome was achieved was taking its toll, not just on me, but it was killing innovation, productivity, and the well-being of others. So taking a step back to a real defining moment for me, to my final weeks of private practice as a lawyer, which by then I'd wanted to quit the profession completely. The stress and burnout was so intense, I lost over half a stone in a matter of weeks. I did not feel heard. I did not feel supported. And I was so frustrated with the unfairness of the situation I felt I had been backed into. And this really knocked my confidence. And looking back, I became a shadow of who I used to be. And there was one meeting and one moment where I made a commitment that I would make a change to the face of leadership. I just wasn't sure how at that point, but I didn't want anybody to go through what I had been through. And I knew there had to be another way. So my leadership at that time was definitely about protecting others from what was happening around me. And my next leadership experience, where I ran the family company whilst my dad was terminally ill, through that period, I had some of the hardest leadership conversations, and I learned a lot about communication. And again, I was still practicing what I call the shield approach and wanting to protect the staff. And I really had firsthand then experience of the barrier that this approach can create. So it's my next role that I impacted, like that strong, supportive leadership. And then I started to trust my instinct and put into practice my own method, which has led me to positively impact hundreds of individuals, which in turn will impact hundreds more, as that is the power of leadership, good or bad. So let's first of all, before I go into my nuggets, let's first of all consider some common approaches to leading, particularly in times of uncertainty. And please do play along and see if either you recognize any of these within your maybe current colleagues or past colleagues, or even in yourself, because I know at times I've embodied all of these approaches. First one is what I call the kind of steel rod approach. This is, I have this under control, I've got this. It's a very definite way, and it's almost impenetrable because they need to be the ones that are providing the answer. That's how they gain their certainty. Then the second one is the ostrich approach. As the name suggests, yes, it's sticking your head in the sand. And it's like they don't even acknowledge that there's a period of uncertainty. The final one, as I've mentioned previously, and I definitely embodied this, was the shield approach. And it came from a very good place. I just wanted to protect my team and those around me. But actually, all of these create stress for the team and also stress for you as the leader. And it creates a false sense of security. The problem is this disempowers all concerned. It shuts down the ability to support the team and also for you to get support. It shuts down solutions. You're not allowing people to be part of the conversation, and it shuts down people from taking responsibility. But mastering leading with certainty, wow, can really increase job satisfaction, increase well-being, increase productivity, and it also sets you and your team up to engage with change in a healthy, positive, and flexible way. So my first fundamental is you need to master yourself before becoming a master of others. Part of this is obviously a long-term growth, but it's also about getting honest with yourself in the moment when faced with uncertainty. So do a quick check-in and acknowledge. We're often very quick to say we know what we know, and then we know what we don't know. But there's also a third category, which is there is a set of information you don't know that you don't know. And getting honest with yourself is definitely the first one, but it enables you to then open up and get support. And using the situation of building that COVID-19 response, I had a colleague who was absolutely fantastic at this. He knew his strengths and weaknesses of him and his team. And he was constantly on the lookout of, where does he need to bring me into? He controlled the money, so most people went to him first. And he constantly was there looking, where is it? Where can he bring me in? This then starts giving more certainty and more control to different to different teams, and including your upline. And that's really crucial. Often in leadership, we think either very much down when we've got to lead a team, or we're only thinking of up. So this is something where actually you enables yourself to both look up and also support your downline too. And also, really thinking about it, what you need to do is, we feel anxious, we feel stressed when things are not in our control. So the more certainty you can bring to things, the more you feel in control, and the better you feel, and the better your team feel. Admit when you don't know something. People know when you're lying. And I do this even to stakeholders. I hold my hand up, not being, sometimes, things were moving so fast in COVID-19 when the beginning back in March, that it was really crucial to have this feeling of creating that actually I'm telling the truth. Which brings me on to my second fundamental, which is it's good to talk. So again, when I first knew that I was going to be drafted in to deal with the COVID-19 response, I didn't know what exactly the response was going to be, which one of the responses, which one of the policies we were going to be put on. But I started prepping my team immediately, and that's very key. It's like acting. It's good to just say, I don't know all the information, but this is what I know. You're giving permission for your team then to be able to express themselves. Also, being full in communication with your team. To not do that robs them of the opportunity to be part of and engage with that change and be part of that change. Again, it's putting back. Once you're part of the solution, it's about putting the control back into their hands and to yours. So this is alleviating that uncertainty. So I definitely set out the mindset with my team, and I spent that time to kind of really go and make sure that they were settled. It became almost a game to them, because it was very, very clear what I required from them from the outset. I wanted them to go away and find problems, and find those what I didn't know that I didn't know, and then move them so that I then knew that I didn't know them, so that as a team we could work together for a solution. And they were very clear on that chain and on that path. And it became almost a joke. What could they find? What could they find that I didn't know? So they were, and it meant that we were able, with those clear parameters, we were able to move through a lot of the problems very fast. They were very good at bringing them to me. And so the final fundamental is balance. You need to be at your best to serve others. And it's like, don't be a martyr. And I think definitely at times when I look back at my journey, when I see that I was being what I call that steel rod, and needing to be the one with all the answers, needing to be that absolute rock, I was really almost martyring myself, which helped nobody, because I didn't let in support. And so it's being able to find a healthy balance within you, and trying as best, even through periods of uncertainty, even how busy periods are, to maintain that balance and introduce it into your team. It was one of the things that I was very, very committed to all throughout the COVID-19 response development, that everything we kept sort of maintained that level of normality. I maintained those one-to-one conversations with them. I maintained like the group quiz that we did once a week. And that really helped to not only introduce that balance, but also introduce kind of a bit of sort of certainty and normality. So recap, my 3 fundamentals are: master yourself before becoming a master of others. It's good to talk, so do get full in communication with your team. And also don't forget balance. Make sure that you're maintaining that in yourself so that you can introduce it into your team. So I work with leaders and individuals and their teams to strengthen these fundamentals. And if it's okay, I'll very quickly tell you how we could work together moving forward. So I'm going to offer you the chance to discuss what your challenges and opportunities are as a leadership, and how I can help you unlock them. And if it's a fit, how I can guide you and maybe you and your team to reach this. And the best way to do this is booking a one-to-one exploratory call with no obligation, free 30 minutes. So we can both see if we're a fit. So what I'll do is I'll add my Calendly link to the chat, and then you can just click through it if it's of interest to you. So thank you very much. I think I'm on time. Elliot, back to you.
Yes, I think you're even early. So well done, you. Good job, Rebecca. Let's give a virtual round of applause to Rebecca Warner there. Woo! Let's all type in the chat. What's our key takeaways from that? And of course, everybody that's just joined us, say hello where you're from as well, because people have been joining us. So I'd like to welcome everybody that's joined us. But what is your takeaway from Rebecca's talk? I really love the whole, you left because you didn't want to be a carbon copy. It's very sad to hear that you lost so much weight to get to that realization as well. But I'm glad that you did step out of it. I loved your whole ostrich approach and your shield approach. Maybe you can sit down with Rishi Sunak because he's also an ostrich as well as a shielder, as well as many things. But that's a different conversation, right? Hi, David from London. I love your 3 principles. It's good to talk. It reminded me of that good old advert. Was it Bob Hoskins who did the whole BT? It's good to talk, isn't it? But it is to be open communication. And actually, there's a real theme here with what Sarah was talking about when she opened, and she talked about, being present, really listening. Don't just listen to express your opinion. There's a real combo there. And then Jamie talked about intuition and listening again and being present. So there's a real theme developing here. And I love the balance. If we're out of whack, don't expect your team to be in balance. You need to balance well and lead with certainty. So I really like that. So again, Rebecca, give yourself a round of applause. Let's give Rebecca another round of applause. Let's see what people have learned here as well.